Hello, everyone. This is episode 3 in my Game of the Week series, and it features this game, which is now known as Catching Up with Pig Catcher. The link, if you don't want to read it from up here, will be in the description and at the end of this video, as it has been in the last two videos. If you have not watched these Games of the Week yet, these are supposed to be 15 to 20 minute range videos that focus on breaking down the key situations the way I perceive them in winning Agricola. If you haven't seen the first two episodes, you really should. I gave episode 1 a really lengthy episode compared to what I wanted. It's still under half an hour and gives some very detailed analysis on that game. And then episode 2 is a production I'm actually quite proud of. I think I did a really good job running through a gameplay very fast, giving you the key details there. But as always, I'm looking for feedback. So whatever you want to throw my way, even if it's just a like, I'd really appreciate it. Comments are awesome, whether it's on the format, the specifics of my gameplay that you have questions about, whatever. So that said, I'll talk now a bit about the draft that led into this game. It was mostly a really straightforward draft. My first pick was Churchwarden in a very nondescript opening hand. The second pick, I went with Boar Lord, which says if you have the most boar and you're not tied with anyone, you can plow at the start of each harvest. And I took it partially because I was really lucky to remember about Pig Catcher in my opening pack. This is such a useless card in most situations. I was really lucky to remember that I saw it. But it being usually useless means that I can wheel it as a fifth occupation pick and have a good trigger for my Boar Lord. So I kind of went with this line for the laughs, but also, it could be useful. I was also lucky to pick up Wordsmith as I think my third pick in this draft, and it gives a boar relatively easily. So I was kind of on the lookout for these things and didn't find much of it. The minors were also pretty straightforward. There's nothing super notable. There was one moment that I think is representative of how I drafted minors for this game, where I took the most useful card for me that was among the strongest card. So one thing that bugs me when I watch other people draft is that they will sometimes auto pick the card that is most useful for them while passing on a bunch of really strong stuff. My modification to that is to know which set of cards is like the top tier or the top and second tiers of cards in that pack, and make sure you pick from there. Um, you can still get something pretty useful for you that's strong. It's probably going to be more flexible than you think, as most strong minor cards are. So that's something that I would like to preach about is make sure you're taking strong cards. Yes, you can hunt for your own game, but I think that you shouldn't pass all the strong cards along. So that about does it for describing the draft. Um, the opening for this game was kind of interesting. In round 1 from the 2 seed, I took 3 wood with both Reedstone Food and Expensive Occupation available. And then I took 2 clay after Kristen in the 1 seat took 2 wood, I think, with her second action of the game. And with 3 wood, 2 clay, and sheep coming in round 1, it really gave me clarity on what my best line was, and that's to win that first pile of sheep to get my wordsmith running because it needs a lot of food. Um, and so you see here at going into my second turn of round 2, I have this decision. So we'll play this clip. Fifth action. Am I capable of turning away Reedstone's sixth action? Oh no. Oh no. I don't know if I'm capable of turning this down. And I definitely go into a long think here because another 3 wood and Reedstone Food and I can build 2 staples. Not taking Reedstone Food in stage 1. I have to in a lot of ways, but also I've got a plan, right? And if I'm happy with my plan, I should just do the plan. All right, now let's skip ahead another minute. Oh, gosh. I'm not doing anything with reed stone food this game. There we go. So there you have it. A very atypical opening move, fencing 6 in round 2. And it just fit everything I had to do. It gives me access to that first pile of sheep. I didn't notice any like sheep stealing cards in the draft. Always want to keep an eye out for those as well. Um, but this really kept me on target. And the stage 1 moves are really critical. You need to make sure you do what you have to do in your 8 moves. And getting off track can always kill a game. So that was the notable thing in stage 1. I got a fireplace, I took 4 sheep, I got wordsmith down, and I got a boar. So then in the growth queue, I got pretty lucky. Um, Family growth flipped in round 7, and Kristen had the first room. So I was able to get the wordsmith room even 1 round later than I had intended to. I played wordsmith in time to get the wood room in round 7, but I only had to pay for it in round 8. Um, there were a couple moments in round 6. I'm going to go back to the game log here. It's just easier than hunting for the right spot in the video. So round 6 had a couple interesting moments once Kristen takes start player to maintain the first growth. So with all the juicy piles of things, there was 6 clay, 4 wood. I took 2 sheep first move. Um, and this was definitely my best move. It avoids the risk of people trying to be mean and getting rid of my breeding pair of sheep. I had eaten a lot of sheep to pay for the wordsmith stuff. Um, and I was kind of indifferent to what pile of things I get on the second action. But then I decided on my second move in this round, I didn't even want 4 wood or 6 clay. I played my occupation businesswoman so that I could get a bit of extra food, upgrade my fireplace to the hearth, uh, and keep my game running. So I think that was pretty important for me to do in the scope of things is keep my food tempo going because food is my most vulnerable part uh, of my strategy. And that's often the case, but when I play an occupation that sinks 12 food into getting a room and a pig, that's especially true. Um, so we go get our growth in round 8, everything's dandy. And in round 9, I'm thinking, you see now I have a bunch of resources here. I'm thinking about buying a clay room. But then Coolala very non-subtly tells us that it's time for me to ignore that clay room and go into the mid game because he got early reno and had first picked or second picked the occupation officer, which gives you basically an extra action every round once you're in stone, and he triggered this starting in round 7. So he basically got a growth in round 7 using officer. And then with this kind of field arrangement you see here, he plays shifting farmer. And you gotta read this card. But it basically says that a stone room, if you remove a field, costs a reed and 2 stone, or 2 stone, or 2 reed and a stone. Something like really silly. Uh, so once Coolala plays this, I give him the old sabashing, telling him GG. And I mean, Coolala knows it. I think his text in chat, he typed in chat that, yeah, this thing is really OP. So I don't think anyone was disagreeing that shifting farmer is kind of this is not what an occupation should do. Let you be able to build 3 stone rooms and still have a field and such. But let's go back to round 9 here. So I guess a highlight in a kind of funny way is that I got Pigcatcher to work. So in the in this round, I played pig catcher, then I took wood and took wood, and this was really critical to make sure I could keep Warlord going or restart it up again. I had eaten the pig previously. I was actually lucky to get the Boar Lord here because Kristen had taken 2 boar, and 2 boar versus 2 boar does not trigger the Boar Lord. But Kristen, luckily for me, upgraded her fireplace away into something that doesn't cook animals, and so she had to eat the boar before Boar Lord checked who was winning the pig fight. So I got a little lucky there. Let's see. To finish up the mid game, basically, in round 10, I had a wood advantage. I took another wood and a pig move. I renovated, I bought the pottery, and then I fenced. So all of these moves were pretty important. This was 3 wood and 3 food. This renovation stole me the pottery away from the table because pretty much everyone had clay, and there was a stone discount provided by one of JP's cards that everyone could use. So I was able to steal the pottery away there. And then the fences. Oh boy, the fences. Whenever you can fence first and see 1-1-1 as the animal situations, you're going to have a good time. At the end of round 10, look at the farms. Aside from Coolala's massive mansion here, I'm sneakily ahead by a lot in pastures and animals, and I'm also leading in the amount of fields with a boar lord. So my farming is way ahead of what everyone else is doing. And then this round 11 is just beautiful. What 2 cows, 2 pigs, 2 sheep in that order. Normally I would have taken the sheep before the pigs, but Warlord really wants to make sure that they don't lose those fields. So there is a highlight that I meant to show around 53 minutes, I think. And this is me giving Coolala the sabashing. Yeah, that's him playing shifting farmer with this.
Yep.
And we see Kimball in chat. Oh, it's even worse than field doctor, which is what you're always scared of when somebody plows like that. It's field doctor, which would give a family growth without room when you arrange your farm like that. But that covers the mid game, and let's talk about the end game now. It's round 12. JP had taken start player, so I go fourth in round 12. And I'm back to considering building a room. I think I started this round with 5 clay and a reed. So, if family growth doesn't flip here, I could try to build and grow perhaps. But first, I take a vegetable because Kristen starts with her first move, so I'll be going second, and I want to be prepared for Plowso if Kristen plans on growing. So that's always something you want to do is get at least 1 crop in. Second move, however, this is one of the crucial moves of the game. And for 3 clay and the stone discount from JP, I buy the clay oven. If you notice Coolala's resources, they looked a lot like that during the round 2. And when you're on a big family and have 3 clay, a stone, a grain, and the clay oven's out there, that's a big get for you if you can get it. So I take away that clay oven without any grain. I just do it for 2 points. It actually took me a few seconds to find this move as good. I was kind of like, what can I do here? There's not much for me to do. I think grain was already gone, so I couldn't have even taken another Plowso item. Uh, but as I mentioned in the video, uh, there was some luck involved where I wasn't the only one preventing Coolala from getting food efficiency. But it's a hard thing to do against a person with a big action advantage, and kind of incidentally together we did so against Coolala here. Um, I was really happy to find that move also because at this point I think it was pretty clear I was the only one who even had a chance at catching Coolala. JP and Kristen, their farms were just too slow, I think, which is something that happens a lot to players of all levels, even the best, when there's round 7 and 13 growth. I mean, there's just very few actions. It's hard to get everything done. So then in round 13, Kristen indeed grows with the first action. I wasn't super expecting it, but I take the plow sow. Um, and then start player comes back around to me. And because my fields are all taken care of with Boarlord, my animals are all breeding, it's beautiful, I don't have to worry about food. I take start player, and I have a miner to get a point in a food, so I do that for free. And then this was also a good action because there was a 6 clay action that nobody wanted at this point. I could just wait it and wait and wait and get my max pottery with kind of an action that wasn't doing very much. My plan for round 14 was family growth, without room, take a grain, hopefully find a 2 point move, but probably a 1 point move. And that's basically what happened in round 14 here. I got to grow, I took a grain, and I sowed for a point in the food. And I didn't need the food. Um, so I get an okay farm in the end. And Coolala has this. And somehow, at the end of the video, I was guessing scores. I guessed my score exactly, which is really cool. But I guessed Kulala about 5 points ahead of me. However, we tied. So just having the luck, I don't want to call it skill, but I feel like I targeted Kulala a lot once Shifting Farmer hit the table. Um, to manage a tie against someone with that hand, an early officer and a shifting farmer for 3 stone rooms, I feel like that's a major accomplishment. Uh, so that was that game. Um, I guess in conclusion, there were a lot of strong cards in this game, but I really liked this game to showcase because a lot of the best moves that I made weren't about playing cards. For me, I can sometimes struggle with sticking to a game plan that rejects moves like the Reedstone Food I had to turn down in round two. Sometimes I don't play my occupations that want to be played early because I'm too busy taking 3 wood or 4 clay or Reedstone Food and Reedstone Food and etc. So this game is one where I managed to avoid that trap. Uh, Moves like fencing to get 3 animal pairs, even 2 would have been fantastic, but 3 is just the cherry on top. That's a fantastic move that has nothing to do with the cards that are in the game. You always want to do that. And elimination of food sources for the leader when they're in a big house. Uh, this is a big complaint about a lot of by a lot of intermediate Agricola players is that it's too hard to stop the person who grows all the time, and you just gotta like take away their food, go farming, get your breeding pairs so they can't eat them with their hearth, and stuff like that. Be selective about how you get your points and try to do it in ways that make it tough for a big family to feed. So that is the game of the week, catching up with Pigcatcher. I hope this was an enjoyable video for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.